works. We're a repair facility in Southwest Florida. We're about 6 weeks out from having our building up, and then comes all the fun of wiring it and passing those last few inspections and getting the show on the road. In the meantime, I'm still working out of my garage, which is very hot, very sweaty, but very doable. Now, last week, I had a friend come in with his Fender Showmaster guitar that was made in Korea. Now, the Korean Showmasters have a import switch in them. And although he brought the guitar in for me to do a setup, at the end of it, I noticed that the bridge position on this switch was not working. And there's a rumor, I'm not sure it's true, that the PC board switches, like these import switches, wear out at a greater pace than the standard Oak Grigsby type switch that we use in the US mostly. So I had ordered a new switch from Amazon just to get one quick and wired it up the same way that the original switch came. And guess what? It didn't work. It didn't work at all. It was coming up with some wild combinations. So then I decided to do a deep dive, and I immediately referred to one of the electric guitar manuals I've got by Gerry Hayes. And this is a great book. And in the import switch section, he doesn't really throw shade on the import switches. He just says, your mileage may vary with which switch you get. Between the Alpha and the Ibanez and the other switches, there are a lot of custom features. And how they did that was these PC boards that are mounted to the switch. You could do just about anything you want. Now, I did, for those of you typing right now saying, Tom, why didn't you put an Oak Grigsby switch in? Well, I did. I put an Oak Grigsby switch in, wired it up, got the guitar working correctly, and then went to put the back cover on and realized I had the Ferris wheel of London sticking out of the body cavity. It was too tall a switch. So the Alpha switches, and I just got these Alpha switches in, and the only reason I know that they're Alpha switches is they say Alpha on them someplace. But I ordered these switches from C Distribution, who is my normal parts supplier for electronic parts for guitars and pickguards and a bunch of other stuff. They're a wholesaler, and they do a great job, and they get me my stuff pretty quick. So I went and got this switch. Now, in the meantime, I went and did a deep dive onto all the Facebook sites that I'm still members of, and that's only the guitar electronics and wiring sites. The guitar builder sites, the guitar repair sites, I can't anymore. There are too many arguments, there's too much drama and everything else. Well, there was a young lady, Beth Horner, who posted some Oak Grigsby switches on guitar wiring. And I asked, I said, do you have any information about the import switches? And she immediately gave me a plethora of information of both the Schaller and the Ibanez switches and links to another Facebook group, which is the Guitar Wiring Library. Now, it's amazing that she did this. That was a really nice gesture. I can't say enough nice things about Beth for doing that, because it's going to demystify a lot of stuff for you guys. Everybody and their brother that's just starting out working on guitars is afraid of that solder gun. They don't want to burn up one of these switches. And one of these, yep, you could burn one up with a solder gun with the wrong heat. So you've already got that anxiety load. Now you've got to rewire it because it's not working correctly. Now, my initial workaround was to go ahead and find the lead, which is usually lug number 4 or 5 in the 8 lug switch, and that's the one that goes to your volume pot. So I was going to do a continuity test in every position, and when I got a beep on my multimeter, I knew those lugs were continuity to that position on the switch. And it's a lot. Now, with Beth providing these schematics for both the Schaller switch and the Ibanez switch, it should be able to shorten your workload a little bit, and you can find out what's in there. Now, if all else fails, or you don't have a computer, or you're not on Facebook, you could go ahead and use the continuity test to determine which lug connects what in what signal path and what position because it's mind-boggling at times. Now, I've wired super switches, and I was taught by Ken Armstrong how to wire a super switch. Ken's a pretty smart guy. His dad, Dan, was involved with Ampeg and Dan Electro, and Kent still hand winds pickups. His son's winding pickups in Europe and England, and they're still doing it to this day. I order pickups from Ken Armstrong all the time. But the five-way import switch eluded me because I kept repeating the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. Definition of insanity, right? So I was going insane with these switches. Now, what I did find out is there is a short switch that goes in tighter body cavities. And there is a longer switch, and I'm going to put them up side by side. Now, I didn't know there was a difference in these two switches, but as you can see, there is. So, and then there's the alpha switch that I got from CE Distribution, and I'm hoping that this switch will generally work in whatever capacity I need it, as long as I type in that I'm wiring with an alpha switch. So things are hard enough. Now, why did they do PCB boards to dedicate different lugs to different positions on the switch? Well, signature guitars come to mind, first of all. Steve Vai guitars and such, where he likes to just slap from one position to the other, or maybe he wants to go throughout the whole range, go from 1 to 5 with a quick slap to get a different tone. And like I said, they could wire these switches any way they want. Now, am I going to give up on my Oak Grigsby switches on the US guitars? No, not at all. I'm going to keep using them. Why? Because I could tell when they're bad. I know how to wire them, and I could wire them up quick, almost in my sleep. So those are good. But if you're having a problem with your import switch, I want you to check these things out. First, you've got Gerry Hayes' book. Then you've got the 2 links in the description. Or if you go on the Guitar Wiring and Electronics page on Facebook and search out Beth Horner, who's very nice, and a plethora of information provided by her, you could do that. And how did I solve the problem with my buddy's switch? Well, it's simple. I put a 3-way on it. So he's got neck, middle, which is neck and bridge, and then bridge, and that's it. And they didn't do a lot of tricks with the 3-way switch. Now, if he does want to get it wired in a 5-way format, he could always bring it back and we could do that. But it could get frustrating, and it could take a lot of searching, and then you question your own skills and say, what am I doing here? So this is Tom from Talon Guitar Works, about 6 weeks out from having a building. And today, Tropical Storm Debbie is making her appearance, so I kind of have the day off. Not much wind, about 30, 35 miles an hour gusts once in a while. And it's way out from us. It's about 200 miles out into the Gulf. So hope everybody stays safe that's in the Debbie range. And we'll catch you next week. And remember, only half of my ideas are any good. You have to decide which half.